All right, so once more, now it's officially 2:30 here in Finland, 1:30 Central European Time. A very warm welcome to you all to UBC webinar on EU funding. My name is Irene Pendolin and I'm working in the UBC as Communications Manager, and I will be moderating this webinar. So, first of all, a practical thing, the speakers, we have 3 speakers today who I will introduce in a short while. So they will have their presentations and speak, and then I would like you, because you, the viewers or participants, are in mute, like in general when the speakers are speaking, so that it's more practical for them to have their presentation. But then when each speaker is finished, they will ask for the questions, so they have time at the end of their speeches for questions. Then if you can please send me a chat message to ask for your question. We can do it on chat, but if you really like, then you can also ask the question in person, and in that case I will give you a permission to use your audio device. So whichever you prefer. Probably chat is easier since we are about maybe 30 people most here online together. So first speakers will speak, and then you can send me a message via the chat and ask for your questions, and I will ask that question from them. All in all, if you want to reach me now during this webinar, so please send a message to me on chat and I will see it there. But first, let's go through the program. So first today, hold on, some minor technical problems. So first today we have Esther Miros-Holsten, and she is from Interreg Central Baltic Programme, and she will tell you some general information about the program, short information about ongoing and finished projects and their planned results. And Esther will be speaking for about 30 minutes, and that's including questions. Then at around 2 o'clock, we have Jennifer Billowy from Interreg South Baltic Programme, and she will have general information about the program, about its priorities, about the call for projects, ongoing and finished projects, their results, and so on. And then last but not least, we have Johan Fransson at 14:45, and he's from Interreg Botnia Atlantica program, and he will share with us some general information about that program. Just one moment.
Hello, now I'm here.
Okay, great. Now we have Esther online.
Yes, sorry.
It's fine. So one moment, and you will be able to start your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so now I give the floor to Esther.
Oh, thank you. And hi, everybody. Now you can just say if it works or not.
It worked.
Lovely. Mm-hmm. I'm Jen today, representing the Central Baltic Programme, and I'm working as information officer at Åland, a national contact point Åland. And the Central Baltic Programme have 4 participating countries, as you can see on the map: Sweden, Finland, Estonia, and Latvia. And the secretariat is in Turku in Finland. And Åland is a small region, not independent but autonomous, but belongs to Finland. And this Central Baltic Programme for 2014 to 2020 is based on experience of a former program, and we have a lot of results from that. If you are interested, you can check it on our web page. But what is this Central Baltic Programme about? Mostly about two things: common challenges, and of course, when we are here in the middle of the sea, there is a lot of things about the Baltic, of course. So this is a picture I really love. And the other thing is that we have a joint cultural heritage that gives us also a lot of opportunities of improvements. And about the program then, we have 115 millions available, and the Finns and Swedes can get 75% ERDF funds for their projects, and that's very high, I think. And the Estonian and Latvians, they get 85%. And you have to have partners from at least 2 countries. And they have to be relevant partners, of course, and a clear cross-border added value. And what we have realized is that those that really start planning their idea together, they receive better results, and they are also more effective during at least the first part of the project, because it takes time to build trust to really get these cross-border projects work. We have had a 2-step approach for regular projects and no special budget limits. But now when we have the fourth call, and it was such a limited time, we have now used 1-step approach for all projects. The small projects have been in 1 step, and they can get at most 200,000 euros and in ERDF funding. Shortly about what has happened in our program. I think Central Baltic Programme was very early. We started early, and we were very eager to get on very effectively. So we had a lot of launch events already in 2014 autumn, and we started up all these national contact points, because there are 6 of those in each country, and we were really eager to promote the program. And about the communication objective, it's highlighted here in bold, to ensure the generation and quality of the cross-border cooperation projects. That was our task. And then we had our first call in 2015, and we got a very high number of applications, 177, and of those 42 were approved. And 2016, second call, and very many, as you can see, applications, and 25 approved projects. And then 2017, third call, and not as many applications as you can see, but we approved 30 projects, and 10 were already ending, because these small projects, as I mentioned before, they can last only 2 years or work for only 2 years. And now 2018, we had these 10 ended projects from last year, and then now during this year 30 projects will end. And now we have this fourth call. Here is set preparing for, but the fourth call is already closed, and we had 37 new applications, but we don't know how many will be approved, because that is a decision in March. And for us, we have now also highlighted more this second communication objective about telling about the benefits of cross-border cooperation, more to reach out, telling about what has happened, what are people doing, and so on. But altogether, we have had 454 applications. We have allocated almost all our money. As you can see, for this fourth call, we had 8 million allocated. And there was quite a strict regulation for the second call that we could not approve so many applications because we wanted to have some money left. Otherwise, it would be quite funny with a project so quickly getting all money allocated. Okay, now also. And it's about people, as you know. This is the first, the picture above is about our last launching event in Tallinn, and we were all very pleased. But what has happened and then is that several of this info team has changed. Now we have new people on board, and also the project team has been enlarged because there are so much work with the projects. And here you can see from our annual event this year in Turku, the actual partners or people at the secretariat, not all of them, of course, but some of those. And our boss is Merike Niitepöld to the right in a white jacket. We have 4 priorities based on this Europe 2020 and the Baltic Sea strategy. And here you can see both how much money is allocated in each priority, but also the numbers flying around here is how many projects we now have in each priority. So competitive economy, sustainable use of common resources, well-connected region, and skilled and socially inclusive region. These were the topics that we have been working on. And a short comparison between the old Central Baltic Programme, you can see it here on top. Then we had less money, 96 million. We had 6 calls, got all together 282 applications and funded 122 projects. And as you can see, we have now more money, much more applications, but not yet more projects. So it will be interesting to see where the road goes and what the results will be in 2023. I would like to point out one thing that we also have discussed a lot. This is Stuart Simpson. He was a presenter at our annual event in Riga 2015 when he gave a lecture about going for concrete results. And he pointed out that all is about people, getting trust between people, finding a joint culture for working together, a joint understanding of what is this project about and how will we communicate in between and how can we get everybody on board so that not somebody or some partners are not interested in being so active. And this is of course, I guess, a joint problem in all cross-border programs, but he highlighted it in a very good way. To take time to learn to know each other. When it comes to the benefits of EU funding, as it's now our main task, of course we have all these result indicators and output indicators. And I have taken one example here about this priority 3, well-connected region, and this specific objective 3.2, improved small ports. There is the result indicator, share of Central Baltic small port with improvements, and the output indicator is number of ports with improved services. And we have an excellent, short, 8 pages only, information brochure on our webpage. This is called Central Baltic Programme brochure, which I recommend for you to check if you are interested, because there you can see all our result indicators, output indicators, and our priorities in very short and clear way presented. And if I take an example, the target value were to be 15 for these improved small ports. And we have 18 million euros for this specific objective. And now, 2018, the amount of small ports involved in these projects that we have are more than 140. So here will be a really big change in the level, service level in these ports, and also the possibilities to visit those and to get good service, we really hope. And we have 4 projects that are flagship projects, and 3 of them are in priority 2, this sustainable use of common resources, and 1 is plastic. As you can see, it's a very urgent matter. Another project that has got a lot of media attention is this FinEst Link, the feasibility study about a tunnel between Helsinki and Tallinn. And then I want to end with a project about entrepreneurship. This was in priority 1, about the economy, competitive economy, but it's about encouraging young students to become more entrepreneurial. And this is a project that is about rolling images in business startups, about media and how you can build a simulated business out of your hobbies and your interests. And these young kids from 12 up to 18 have been involved in a lot of international camps and local camps, and they have really achieved an enormous result. At first, of course, all this that is in this output indicators about number of established joint student companies and number of participating young people. But when we think during 3 years, these kids have been traveling to other places. They have met and discussed and cooperated with other young people. They have used English as their joint common language, and they have planned and learned together with experts in media, in filming, in making music videos, and so on. This will be something that is into how shall I put it? This is about the human resources indeed, that you put something that will give results perhaps after 5 years, after 10 years, but you really build knowledge, capacity in these young kids. So this is a project I'm very proud of. And what was quite interesting, what they also highlighted, is that they got as many boys and girls involved in this project. And you find all our projects here in our database. If you start from our webpage, then it's our projects, and then you just click the link, and then you come to this database where you can filter these priorities, specific objectives, names, budgets. And here you can see the current status, which is updated each day, how many contracted projects we have. 97, as you can see, with 616 partners. More than 106 millions are already allocated, and about 34 million are paid out to the projects. And that was my presentation so far. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Esther. Now I would give the floor to you, our dear participants. You can send me questions via chat, and we can ask them from Esther like that. Or if somebody is very eager to speak, and I can also put you on camera. So please, ask away. At the moment, there's no questions.
It's easy for people today. They can write and ask if there is something, and the links, I guess you will share the links, and the presentation. Yes. You can also get, of course.
Yes, of course. At the moment seems to be so that, yes, Karin from Rostock is asking, will you share the presentation? And
Yes, of
yes,
course.
yes, we will. So that's possible. And you can see Esther's contact details there on the screen, and you will also get those when you get the presentation. So at the moment, if there's not any questions, then you can ask them later from Esther directly or contact us and so on. So
Yes,
thank you very much, Esther.
Thank you.
And moving on with the program. So next we have Jennifer Billowy. She's from Interreg South Baltic Programme. And we're a bit ahead of schedule here, so I'm hoping that Jennifer is online. Yes.
Hi, yes, I'm online. I'm opening right now the presentation.
Yes, one moment. And now you are presenter, so we should see you in a moment.
Perfect. I can. So,
Yes.
can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay. First of all, I would like to introduce myself as well. My name is Jennifer Billowy. I come from Germany originally. I work in Gdansk, which is the seat of the Joint Secretariat for the program Interreg South Baltic. And I'm very happy that we can participate here in this webinar. So thank you very much for the possibility to participate. And I would like to use the opportunity to present the Interreg South Baltic program as a possibility for European funds for your international cooperation. So as you can see here on the main slide already, that we have very different program priorities, but I won't talk about them right now in the very beginning. I will come back to that later on in the presentation. But here you can see already that we are available on Facebook, on Twitter, on our website. So you can find all kinds of information also on our website, on Facebook. You can always contact us by email, also by Facebook, of course, if you have any other questions that come to your mind later after this webinar. So I will start with some basic information about the Interreg South Baltic program. So, of course, the first thing we need to know is which regions are actually eligible in our program. So we have here a small map of our eligible regions, because it's very important to know that we have actually only smaller regions in our program that are eligible. So it's not, for example, going further inside the country, but it's really only covering the coastal areas. So we have here the coastal areas of southern Sweden, of Denmark, of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern in Germany, of Poland, the coastal areas, and of Lithuania. So to see what that is exactly, so in Denmark we have, for example, Bornholm and Zealand, for example, in Germany, the Landkreise of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. In Lithuania we have Klaipėda, and then I am not completely sure. I must say, I'm quite new in the program, so I don't know completely how to pronounce Tauragė and Telšiai. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Then in Poland, of course, we have Szczecin, Starogardzki, Koszaliński, Starogardzki, Gdański, Trójmiejski, Elbląski. In Sweden, we have Kalmar, Blekinge, Skåne, and Kronoberg. So this is regions which are eligible in our program. But of course, we can also consider partners, for example, from outside the program area, if there is a reason why we should include these partners in the project, because if you have some kind of partner that is outside the eligible area, it needs to be justified. Why this partner? Why not someone from the eligible area? But of course, it's not impossible. So then the next question, of course, who can receive funding? So eligible are, of course, public institutions, non-eligible are private institutions being in market competition to not interfere in market competition. So that's, of course, very simple. And when we go into details, of course, it's public administrations and agencies who can receive funding. Then public or private institutions who are having either a public or a non-profit character. And of course, we're dealing with communal and municipal environmental and energy management, public transport or public transport infrastructure administration. Then we have, for example, also associations or public or private bodies and NGOs and natural and cultural heritage protection organizations. So yes, everyone who is committed to these kind of institutions are welcome to apply to our program. And of course, this is a non-exhaustive list, so you can always inform yourself if you're an institution that is not listed here. You can always contact us if it's possible, or if one second, I just lost the slide. You can always contact us if it's possible to include you in the program, or if there are other possibilities to be included. So we will always try to help you to find a way. And yes, so yes, you can always, of course, also inform yourself on the program website. Then, of course, our strategic orientation. So the South Baltic Programme has, of course, a main goal, as it was also already on the first entrance slide. So our goal is to increase the potential of blue and green growth in the South Baltic area by cross-border cooperation. So, of course, our program is based also on the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region to save the sea, to increase prosperity, and to connect the region. So that's why we have the main goal of increasing the potential in blue and green growth in the South Baltic area. And so for now, what is blue growth? So blue growth is a part of the Europe 2020 strategy. Its main goal is to use the economic potential of the oceans, seas, and coasts for sustainable growth and jobs. But of course, this economic potential always needs to be developed in harmony with the marine environment, as we want to save the sea, of course. And so, for example, exemplary actions could be, for example, going into blue energy, offshore wind power, tidal and wave power, ocean thermal energy conversion, or going into development of aquaculture or maritime, coastal and cruise tourism. Then we have, for example, also as an example, deep sea and short sea shipping. Of course, you can also go into marine biotechnology. That would be more interesting, I think, for universities or research institutions. So, for example, to find ways to find resources in the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries, but also to treat wastewater that is going into our Baltic Sea. Or, for example, also to filter out the waste from pharmaceutical industries from the water. So then we also have coastal protection, maritime security and surveillance and environmental monitoring, and of course maritime spatial planning. And so if you recognize yourselves in this kind of activities, you're always welcome to apply, but also, of course, we are also very open to other suggestions if it's convincing. So this is, of course, just suggestions. Yes, I am okay. I am sharing my webcam, and now, of course, for green growth. So green growth is the other priority of our main goal. Green growth describes mainly the economic growth using natural resources in a sustainable manner, and so that means, for example, developing the sectors of renewable energy, or finding ways of sufficient sustainable use of electricity, or green construction, all this kind of activities, or sustainable tourism. Of course, it's definitely a part of our green growth strategy. Then, of course, environmental management, agricultural and forestry and land management. So if you recognize yourselves in this kind of activities, please apply to our program. So then, of course, in which specific objective to apply. So we have different specific objectives in our program, and it is always important to send the application, an application for project funding, to the specific objective. And so we have, for example, these specific objectives of SME development, sustainable tourism, green technology, sustainable transport, skilled labor force, or cooperation capacity building. So I would like to say a few words about these specific objectives. So the SME development, for example, refers to SMEs, so small, medium-sized enterprises that are supposed to be connected. So in order to achieve better results, or more sustainable results also, we would like to support their cooperation, their international cooperation around the South Baltic, in order to make their business more sustainable and, of course, focused on our main goals of blue and green growth. Then sustainable tourism. I think that's self-explaining. Of course, we would like tourism to be sustainable. And of course, also the problem around the Baltic Sea is that tourism is not that much developed, the whole tourism sector. So we are always welcoming, or did welcome, I will come back to that later, applicants in the sector of sustainable tourism to also revive the South Baltic area, to make it also in the tourism sector more competitive, to also create job opportunities in the sector of tourism around the Baltic Sea, and of course to make the whole area more attractive for tourism. Yes, as we know, the Baltic Sea does not have the same weather as, for example, the Mediterranean Sea, for example. We need to come up with different solutions. So green technologies, of course, that's also self-explaining. We would like to fund projects that are developing greener technologies, or technologies that are in line with the blue and green growth strategy. I will give some examples later. I think that will show a little bit better what is meant with the green technologies. Then the sustainable transport. Of course, we want transport to be more sustainable, and we have some very interesting project ideas there too. I think that's also self-explaining, to use less or to have less CO2 emissions, and also in a long-term perspective to decrease the CO2 emissions around the Baltic Sea. And of course, not only CO2 emissions, we also want to save the sea, of course, so it's also about ships. I don't know if you have heard about the LNG project, the terminals that have been financed and built up in the South Baltic project around the Baltic Sea, to use a more sustainable way of fueling for ships. Then the next priority is skilled labor force. So I am a project officer in South Baltic. In the South Baltic Programme, I am responsible for the skilled labor force. So this is about getting human resources into the area, or qualifying the human resources in the South Baltic area. as we are around the Baltic Sea facing the problem of there is a question I just noticed. If you want me to turn off the camera. No, it's fine, completely fine. So the skilled labor force, it's about the human resources. Because we have this problem that the human resources are decreasing in the around the Baltic Sea. So the regions, the coastal areas around the Baltic Sea are not very competitive with those in the inland, in the mainland. And so, of course, we need to build a counterforce against this. So we need to somehow find ways to keep qualified people in the area and also to qualify people in the area for sectors that are lacking skilled labor force. So, of course, we're very open to different solutions, to different approaches also in this area. So always we have very different projects, of course, already running in the priority skilled labor force. So we're quite open to different ways of approaching this problem of decreasing skilled labor force in the South Baltic area. Cooperation capacity building. So this is the priority which is rather for newcomers. So this is a priority which is rather built up for those who have not cooperated internationally yet and would like to somehow get a first taste of international cooperation, and so of building up a first project idea. But it's only for the capacity of this cooperation. So it's rather, well, you have an idea and you would like to develop it slowly and start off slowly, then you can go first into this cooperation capacity building to build up a good basis of cooperation capacity building. And afterwards, when this project is finished, you can really start with your project idea, or maybe you discover something while you're implementing a project in cooperation capacity building. Maybe you discover something that you have not discovered before. And then it's, of course, always a good idea to have a project following up on this project that has been implemented in cooperation capacity building. So then, of course, examples of projects. So I would like to start with the sustainable tourism, specific objective 2.1. Here we have, for example, the project Biking South Baltic. So Biking South Baltic is actually facing the problem that, the whole priority of tourism is facing, that we don't have a common or not a very much developed common touristic area around the South Baltic area. And so this project is actually planning to develop a route for Baltic Sea cycling between Copenhagen and Gdansk, which is supposed to then connect the area by this cycling route, which is, I think, a very good idea to connect the region, to have different stations on the way, to also for the initiative to travel from Copenhagen to Gdansk by bike. And by bike, you see everything around you. So you're not rushing through it, you're not flying over it, you're actually traveling through it in a speed where you can actually view everything around you. So it's definitely a good initiative to connect the region for everyone to get this experience. So then the next specific objective, 2.2, green technologies. Here, for example, we have the project Morpheus. It's called Model Areas for Removal of Pharmaceutical Substances in the South Baltic. It's also a flagship project of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. So Morpheus plans to integrate information on pharmaceutical consumption So also on existing technologies, release rates, and environmental occurrence in coastal regions in the South Baltic. So it means they're gathering information on what kind of pharmaceutical waste it can be found in the Baltic Sea water. And they are then on the basis of this, data they are finding now, they can suggest solutions of how to filter it, how to remove it from the Baltic Sea water. And all kinds of municipalities, cities around the Baltic Sea can then get active and develop their own projects of filtering out this wastewater from the Baltic Sea. And of course, we have to cooperate on this one. Yes, the Baltic Sea doesn't stop at our borders, so we have to cooperate. So the next project is Live Lagoons. Here we have a very interesting project also in the same priority of green technologies. So Live Lagoons is planning to improve the water quality in eutrophicated lagoons in the South Baltic by the use of innovative floating wetlands for nutrient removal. So these islands that are placed in the lagoons in the South Baltic area, they are filtering out nutrients from the Baltic Sea water, and that way they are removing it and creating new living space for all kinds of sea animals and the whole life that is around these islands of those live lagoons. And so you can find, of course, more information on the website that is shown below. And of course, you can also find the project in our project database for more information. Then here, these are the places where live lagoons are going to be implemented. Of course, the project is running at the moment, so they're not implemented yet, but yes, but the project is halfway through. So one lagoon is already being implemented, the other two are being implemented a little bit later. So then we have the specific objective 3.1, sustainable transport. So here we have, for example, the project Low Carbon Logistics, which is planning to develop the methods of environmentally sustainable transport services in the South Baltic area. So the project is trying to find ways of freight transports to decrease the traditional vehicle usage, so not to use trucks in the middle of cities, but to use other ways, to use, for example, bicycles, for example, in the middle of cities. And they're developing a whole system for this implementation. And this system can then be used by municipalities, by cities on their own. So as you see, the projects in our program are more there for developing something new, a new system, a new feasibility study, a new approach to something, and which then can be used and shared by everyone. So this is also quite important to know that after the end of the project, you kind of have to give out your solution for others to also to implement this kind of solution. So then the project objective 4.1, skilled labor force. So here we have, for example, the project Seaplan Space. And Seaplan Space is a very interesting project because there is this directive 2014-89 from the European Union that there is a high and rapidly increasing demand for defined maritime space. So the maritime space is supposed to be planned and managed. And these new maritime spatial plans, of course, there are already some maritime spatial plans, but there is a high and strong need to revise those, to integrate this planning. So these new maritime spatial plans, which are then also being used by all kinds of maritime academies, for armies, for all kind of technologies, as all maritime space needs to be planned for a certain usage, is going to come into force by 2021. And what CPAN space, what the project has identified is that in the South Baltic area, we have a lack of well-qualified employees in this maritime spatial planning. So what the project is doing is they're developing a marine governance network, which is supposed to train well-qualified employees in the field of maritime spatial planning. And of course, while they're doing this, they're also developing a joint approach, which can then be used by everyone to increase the human resources in maritime spatial planning. And as the new maritime spatial plans are coming into force by 2021, but we are lacking qualified employees in maritime spatial planning all around the South Baltic area, this is a quite urgent project to train these employees in municipalities and cities and so on, as these maritime spatial plans will also have an effect on municipalities and cities. So then we have the program-specific objective number 5, cooperation capacity building. So as I said, this is a priority more for cooperation capacity building, for developing this cooperation. So here we have, for example, the project CASIPOD to increase cross-border cooperation, resulting in building capacity of local actors working with youth in the Euro-region Baltic. So this is a project that is supposed to increase this, well, as it's saying, the cross-border cooperation of those local actors who are working with youth. And it's a very interesting project. They are very active, very good project also in this priority. Of course, some of our projects are specifically contributing, or especially contributing to the European Union to the European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea region. So here we have, for example, Morpheus, you've seen already, or for example, also the project BBVET is also quite an important project, as it's supposed to strengthen the vocational education training around the South Baltic area. As this area is, for example, not very developed in, for example, in Poland or Lithuania, so they're kind of promoting this, the use of vocational education training around the South Baltic area. Or, for example, Interconnect, a project that is in sustainable transport to develop a common routes for travelers who are wanting to travel from one country to the other around the South Baltic area. To connect the region, they are supposed to be able to travel with only one ticket from somewhere in Poland to somewhere in Sweden, not having to deal with all different kinds of transport systems, with different kinds of ticket systems, with different kinds of ticket machines. And you've been probably traveling across borders as well and know how complicated it can be at times. And so this project Interconnect is trying to connect these different ticket systems in order for people being able to travel in a more simpler way. So then another very important project is the Baltic Sea Tourism Center, which is supposed to develop a center in tourism which can become a roof organization for all kinds of tourism activities or organizations, as our tourism organizations or associations around the South Baltic area are not very connected. So this is a very important project, connecting all of those activities, all of those events or organizations that are happening around the South Baltic area. So also a very important project in our program. So those are some of the flagship projects in our South Baltic area. And of course, now it's important to know what is the state of play of the Interreg South Baltic Programme, and what about the 6th call? So now, after the 5th call, we've had 55 projects, 26 seed money projects, and we have invested so far 88% of our available ERDF. So we have 295 individual partners from all over the region, all over the South Baltic area. Of course, some areas are a little bit stronger represented than others, but that is usually just because of the density of the population. Of course, in some areas you have more institutions than in others. And you can find all our projects on our project database also. You can click on our website on implementing projects, as it's in the white circle upstairs on the web page, and lower you can find then the project database. Also, as in Central Baltic, you can also filter the results. So you can look for the priorities, you can look for the country of lead partners, or different kinds of filter systems, so you can find pretty much everything you need. How can beneficiaries engage? So the organization needs to have a legal personality, of course. Then the organization is based in the eligible area. And of course, in exceptional and well-justified cases, of course, we can also include institutions from outside the eligible area. More information you can always find in the program manual, which you can also find on our program website. Then the challenge and opportunity requires joint actions across borders. That's very important to show in your application that the action that you're planning to develop is a joint action across the border, so that you are not able to tackle this problem by yourself. You actually need to tackle this problem unitedly with others across the borders. So then the next, of course, is that the joint action can be accomplished by their organization and their partner organization from another member state. So with the focus of can be accomplished. So of course, you need to also be able to tackle this problem as the institution or organization that you're representing. So then the joint action will be carried out in the program eligible area, and the joint action corresponds with this program specific objective. So of course those points are very important. And why is it beneficial to engage? So by participating in a project, you would be able to investigate best practices and exchange knowledge and experience related to sustainable transport, green technologies, human resource or cooperation capacity. I already took out the tourism and the SME development. I will explain it to you later. Then you will be able to cooperate with partners and jointly develop tailored solutions for the blue and green sectors, test innovative technologies, tools and methods in practice, form international networks and with organizations pursuing the same mission, and of course experience the cross-sector cooperation possibilities in an international setting. So how much funding is available? So generally, the funding is of course coming from the European Regional Development Fund. The co-financing rate for beneficiaries is up to 85% for Poland, Germany, and Lithuania, and 75% for Sweden and Denmark of their eligible project costs. And then the ERDF co-financing is always paid on the basis of semi-annual reimbursements. So how to start? First of all, of course, you can get in touch with a contact point in your region. You can find all the contact points on our website in the section of contact points. You can get in touch with the secretariat, with the joint secretariat, that is us here. You can always get in touch with us, and you can find also all our contact details on the website under joint secretariat. Then you can share a project idea for consultation with the joint secretariat. So We're at the moment in consultations, and you can always contact me. I'm responsible for the consultations, so you can always write me or call me. Then look for upcoming calls for proposals. Then, of course, we have different calls for proposals, and I will introduce you to the 6th call for project proposals in a minute. But of course, you can always find up-to-date information in the section call for proposals on our website. So now the 6th call for project proposals. It's open from 1st of October to 18th of December. So not very long anymore. We have now the 4th of December until 18th. You would have time to prepare an application. So what I would like to say to that is that, of course, if you are already being in some sort of cooperation, then it might be worth still developing an application to this 6th call for project proposals. But for now, as we have already December, if we are not in cooperation yet with anyone, then maybe applications would be possible maybe in this cooperation capacity building or building up cooperations. Otherwise, I think it might be too late to now prepare an application for another specific objective. But of course, it's always worth trying. And yes, but of course, if you have already some functioning city partnerships, it's always easier to already establish a project idea with an already established city partnership for partners who already know each other, who already can organize each other with each other on a very quick basis. So that would, of course, be possible. So, of course, now it's important to know how much funds we have available for the 6th call. So here you can see the numbers of available funds for the 6th call in millions of euros. So in green technologies, we have 5.2 millions of euros available. In sustainable transport, we have 2.1 millions of euros available. In skilled labor force, it's 1.2 million. And in cooperation capacity, 0.39 million. So 390,000 euros. So this would be, for example, in green technologies, we would have room for 2 or 3 projects, depending on the amount that is requested. In sustainable transport, also for 1 or 2 projects, also depending on the amount that is requested. In the skilled labor force, we have, well, only room for 1 project. And in cooperation capacity building, this would also be only 1 smaller project for 400,000 euros. So this is what we have available now for the 6th call, which is open until 18th of December. And of course, future projects. So future prospects, sorry. Our South Baltic Programme is part of 3 different programs around the Baltic Sea. And so we don't know what will happen after this programming period until 2020. And this is why, for now, we have this quite small budget left in our program. So for these few projects that we can still fund in this programming period. And after that, we don't know if in the next program period, after 2020, will maybe be integrated into one big Baltic Sea program, for example. So this is why we don't know if South Baltic will exist further. Of course, we hope so, but we can't promise. And so this is why it might be that this 6th call will be our last call. So maybe if you would like to still apply to this program, to the Blue and Green Growth, if you have an idea, or if you're already working on something and you need the European funding for this kind of activity, for everything you're working on, then it might be worth still sending an application. And well, So of course, but we are of course hoping that we will exist further and that there will be a next program period for funding in South Baltic. So thank you very much. This is my name, Jennifer Billowy. I'm a project officer. I'm responsible for the skilled labor force, and you can always contact me if you have further questions to the presentations. And you can, of course, also contact anyone from the Gen Secretariat. Our contact data is available online on our website. And thank you very much for listening. And so I'm here if you have any kind of question to the program. Please address them to me. But of course, if you don't have any questions at the moment, you can also address them later.
Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer. During your presentation, so we got two questions. I think you already answered these. So one question was, will this be the last call? And the other one was, or will be there another call for a smaller seed money or so?
Yes, so that is actually not decided yet. So we can't decide that on our own. If we will have a smaller call for seed money, for example, so we would have to decide that in the next meeting of the monitoring committee. And so for now, we don't know what will happen after 2020. So we will see what we can do. We will, first of all, after this call, we will see how much budget we will have left after this call. And then we can see how many savings we also have from other projects. And then we can see what we can do with this, with these savings and with the budget that has not been allocated to new project ideas. And then we can decide if it's, for example, used for other projects that are already running, or if we can use it for a seed money call or a mini call. But that will be announced then also on our website as soon as it's decided. So whoever is interested, please keep track. And you can also, of course, write me an email so I can, or we can inform you who are interested as soon as the decision is made.
Okay, thank you for that. I think we're still waiting for one question. So one moment. All right, go ahead, Pavel. You have the floor for a question.
Hello, my name is Pavel Żaboklicki. I'm the Secretary General of the Union of the Baltic Cities. Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you very much, Esther, for your very interesting presentations. My question concerns our general conferences. As you may know, Union of Baltic Cities is holding every second year the general conference where all member cities are invited. So it's like 300 participants, a little bit more than we are here today, 25. And in the past, during several conferences, South Baltic and Central Baltic and other also Interreg programs used this opportunity to present their funding possibilities to the wider group of member cities. My question is whether you would also consider participation in our general conference with kind of one of the seminars, like you used to do it before. Of course, it is connected also to the question which you mentioned a few minutes ago, that you don't know whether there will be any funding available. So the question is whether it is a point to hold a seminar without any funding. But maybe there is, just to present the most interesting project. So just from our side, we would like to reconfirm that, as during the previous conferences, South Baltic, Central Baltic and other Interreg programs are very welcome to hold a session during our general conference in Kaunas. 15th general conference, which will be held in next year from the 15th till 18th of October. The date is already set. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pavel, for the question. Jennifer, did you hear?
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much for this offer. I just noted the date. I will definitely consult everything with the Joint Secretariat, with the whole Joint Secretariat, and I would like to come back to you with that then after we consulted here internally. And because at the moment, of course, there's a question if we will have funding then, and if it still makes sense to come with a seminar, with a workshop on available funding or on the projects that are running. It might be interesting to even show the running projects, as you said. But of course, it's also a good opportunity to show our program, just also for future prospects. It could be very interesting. And so I would like to consult that with our office, and then I would like to come back to you because it sounds very interesting. And so I would like to do this. But yes, we will see if it makes sense for us, if we can do it.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, as we are both from Gdańsk, we can also discuss it in person, if necessary, via GoToMeeting and in your office, in our office, or during numerous events that will be held next year. For example, the big annual forum of the Baltic Sea strategy, which will be held in Gdańsk in June, in the middle of June. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We had some follow-up questions. Yes, we had some follow-up questions. And I think Esther already answered, probably on your behalf. Karin from Rostock asks, when will it be decided if there would be another call for the rest of money, more or less? And Esther said there will most likely be a fifth targeted call in next autumn in Central Baltic, but with limited funding.
So for us, it will probably be decided in April, because we will select the new projects after this call finally with the final approval from the monitoring committee in April. And so then it will be decided how much we have left and what we can do with the rest of the funding. What is the most what is the thing that makes most sense with the then available budget?
Okay. Any more questions coming from our audience? If not, at this time, you can still hang around here in the webinar for the rest of the webinar and listen to Jon Fransson's presentation. And after that, we can still take the rest of the questions. I know there is at least one question for Esther that didn't come through before, so we will ask that. But if not any more for Jennifer, also ask you if you can please stay here until the end of the webinar if there are any more questions. So, but now we'll move on to our last part of the program, to Jon Fransson. And Jon will tell us about Interreg Botnia Atlantica program. So let's just change the presenters one moment.
Yes, 1 minute here, and I'll bring forth the presentation also from my side. Oh, this is a new software I'm using here, so I'm not so very comfortable with it yet.
No worries.
Here we go.
Okay. Now we should see you in a moment.
Hi everyone. Can you see my screen? I suppose so. Otherwise,
Yes.
just type in the chat. I'll try to have a look at the chat at the same time as I'm presenting. But I'll do my best. Thanks for having me today. I almost said good evening because it's pitch black up here in the northern part of Sweden. I hope you have a bit lighter at where you're at. Otherwise, my name is Jon Fransson. I'm desk officer for the Interreg Botnia Atlantica program. Our geography, you can see it to the right here in the picture. It's part of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So it's pretty much the Kvarken area or North Botnia Bay, almost as far up as you can come. But so here's the program administration. At the Joint Secretariat, we have Gabriel, me, Ulf, Sara, and Gunhild. We also have Ulf in Vasa, Finland, and Gunhild in Boden, Norway. So we are kind of spread out, and it's a quite big program area, but also we have the managing authority in Umeå. The program is a cross-border cooperation program with the regions in Sweden, Finland, and Norway. And something that's characteristic for the program is the long distances, sparsely populated, and we kind of have a weak east to west communication links. So that's what we're trying to work with the program. And the priority areas that we have in the program is innovation, environment, business, and transport strategies. And I'll try to explain a little bit further about that later on. But I'll tell you right away that this is how the funding looks like. You have the gray, which shows how much we have total. The green is how much we've granted, and the orangey, yellow, reddish. I'm colorblind, so this is hard for me. But that's how much we have left within the area. So as you can see, we are looking for projects within environment and innovation pretty much. Business is full and almost transport strategies as well. So bear that in mind when you listen to the presentation. Regarding the priority areas, here we have innovation, which we have two specific objectives, which we try to aim at. It's a competence center and innovative solutions, where competence center is, think of it as the cluster, triple helix, innovation systems, all these buzzwords. This is something that we try to, here's another buzzword, pretty much the competence center, where we try to strengthen the structure for innovative processes within the region. We have projects like running a competence within icing problems, where the goal is that the business can come to the competence center and stress their demands regarding icing problems, and the competence center should have the competence to either contact you into the right direction or right consultancies, or have the competence itself. Innovative solutions, the other specific objective is more of a production development objective. So the commercialization of new products and services has increased. Is pretty much what we desired change we want in the region. So more of that. Here's business, even though it's like I said before, it's full, but the specific objective here is cross-border business cooperation, and it's all about strengthen the networks and expand the networks and strengthen supply chains for a more competitive region. Here, like you can find strengthen your supply chains by using competence on the other side of the border. Environment, we have two specific objectives here, and it's natural and cultural heritage and meet the environmental challenges. Natural and cultural heritage is more like you should be able to take part of the of the heritages, and the purpose is to develop a stronger tourism sector based on these heritage. When it comes to the environmental challenges, it's more about conducting designated areas or protect them. It could also be like creating methods for society planning, plan the society, and creating models to show how much the water will rise within timeline X, pretty much, on things like that. And here's what we are looking for: projects within this area. It has been the area that has been the slowest of them all within this program period, which is a bit of a surprise for us. We expected more of this when we wrote the program, but we've had some challenges here. I can see that I missed the transportation area within the slide, but that's more of a transport strategy. And as I said before, it's already covered and full. We've granted all the money in that area already, or almost. But so I'll just jump into something that we prioritize within the program when you try to focus your project. So if you're writing a project, we would like it within the area of sustainable energy and clean tech, digital services, forest and wood, food, maritime environment services, tours, cultural and creative industry, and safety and rescue. So this is something that you could bear in mind when you're writing your application. Of course, you can have it in other areas, but we prioritize this area higher than others. So if there's a competition, which it is now in the end of the period, like Jennifer said before, we're coming to an end within the program period, which means less money within the program and more higher competitiveness within the project when we prioritize them. Today we have about 40 projects running. We have a much smaller program than the otherwise we've listened to so far. So we have 40 running, 10 within innovation, 10 within business, and 10 within environment, and 4 within transport strategies. I'm going to tell you a bit how to prepare a successful Botnia Atlantica project, and take it for what it is, and we'll go from there. First of all, you need to dig into if there's a need for your project. What is the problem or opportunity that you're looking for? What do you want to change? What problem do you want the project to solve, or what opportunity do you want to exploit with your project? What do we know already? Are there statistic research or analysis made so far, or other knowledge regarding the problem or opportunity? I'm going to take a look in the chat here as well, if there's been any questions so far. I don't think so. What has been done before? You have to look into that also. What was the outcome of it if there's something done already? Or is it a suitable project? Is there a defined timeline, or does it have the specific characteristics that we're looking for within the program? This is some of the questions that you need to answer in your program writing. And also, is the Botnia Atlantica the right program to apply in? I'm not sure that it's interesting for you. We are on the north part here, and I don't know how many this contain, but when Anna asked me to join, I thought it was an opportunity to promote our program in a more Baltic Sea context, so to say. But like it says here, there are many great projects, but not all of them are an Interreg project or a Botnia Atlantica project. The Botnia Atlantica must address the problems or opportunities where there is a clear added value to work cross-border. We are an Interreg program, just like the others here, so that also you need to bear in mind what is the cross-border value when you write your project or work with it. Is it learn from each other, utilize a great critical mass, make the border opportunity, tackle border obstacles? Here's and we have when we grade the project applications, we look at several different things. But so when you have a project, you can work with networks and new contacts, mutual transfer of knowledge by learning from each other, local benefits. But the further right you are in this picture, the better, because when you have a joint problem and you're working with solving this problem, that's when we see successful projects. There's a learning together and mutual benefits from the results. So there's not just transfer one way to another. So joint problem solving is what we're looking for, pretty much. And with that comes cross-border value, pretty much. Will the project contribute to one of the specific objectives within the Botnia Atlantica? Pretty much make sure that it does. I'm not going to go further into this. But one thing that's important for us are the horizontal criteria that goes for all the ERDF funded projects, but we have more focus on gender equality in Botnia Atlantica program. This is a big thing for us. We try to, and we have graded 3 levels on how we can work with gender equality within your project. So you can work with pictures and how text are formulated, and this is pretty much level 1. When it comes to level 2, you use gender divided statistics, analyze differences between gender, arrange activities where you aim to move towards gender equality in your project. And level 3 is that you use the analysis to integrate a gender equality perspective to your whole project. So the tip is here to do the work when you draw up the project, and we really from the Secretariat's behalf, we really like when this is done already, and you jump up in the priority list. Successful projects have a clear defined commitment and responsibilities for all project partners. From all target group and stakeholders participate already at the planning part of the project. You have a realistic and clearly defined goals, clear connection between the project's activities and goal, and clear definition of what the project will achieve. So this is what we see in projects that are successful, and I'm not going to go any further and tell you more about the program, but you can always visit our website, botniaatlantica.eu, and you can always contact me by email to start with, maybe, and we can talk a little bit further by phone if you need later on, if you're interested. This is just a short brief of the project. I'm not a communication officer, so I'll just make it short today. Our next call will open the 11th of February and closed 4th of March 2019. So there's still time to develop your project. And you can always contact me or anyone else at the Secretariat, and we'll help you. And like I'll go back to the picture with the money and how much we have left. As you could see, it's a rather small program, and environment has 3.4 million euros left, and innovation has 1.3 almost million euros. So this is how it looks right now. So yes, if there's any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll go to the last slide and you'll have my contact details again.
Thank you very much, Jon. Any questions from our audience? At the moment, at least, there is no questions in the chat.
Yes, but like I said before, if you don't have any questions right away, we can take them in another form later on. You have my contact details. Feel free to contact me, and yes, was a different forum to present in, digital. I'm not used to it, but it was interesting, and I think it works very well. Almost.
Glad to hear.
Yeah. There's still attendees left in the chat, so
yes, that's always a good sign at the end of a webinar. Exactly. All right. If no questions for Jon, then I know that there is at least one question from Kai Salmela to Esther, who talked earlier. So I will just put Esther on, if that is all right with Jon.
Absolutely.
Yes, and people can be in contact with you then later on.
I think your mic is muted, Kai.
Yeah, I think it's probably from. Yeah, Kai's mic is muted at the moment. So maybe Kai, if you can send the question to us, because we can't hear you at the moment for some reason.
This is the part going digital.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, a bit poorly,
Okay.
but we can. Yes.
Okay, I tried to reach Esther via the chat already, but I'd like to ask you if you are available to visit in Pori sometimes. We are in your area, and
Yes,
I think we can exchange some ideas.
Yes, there will be a fifth call, as I forgot to mention, but there will be in next autumn.
Okay.
So there will be some money left.
Okay.
So you can send me an invitation, and I will with pleasure come to you.
Okay. So we get your presentation and there's your address, so I will contact you later.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions from our audience to any of our speakers today? I think we are all here still. So there's still a chance to ask some questions. We are exactly on time as well. We have 2 minutes left until the end of the webinar. So maybe not at this time. So at this moment, I will just say thank you very much to our speakers for your presentations, very informative ones, and to the participants in our webinar. You've been great. Everybody almost is still here, although it's quite late, and as you can see, it's very dark outside here in Finland as well. So after this, we will send you all the presentations from the speakers, which have their contact details and so on. So you will get those. And in the future, we plan to organize these webinars also. So stay tuned to UBC website and UBC social media channels and also your email so that you will know when they are happening again. And please, if you have any questions or any feedback, so we are happy to answer and happy to help. So for the moment, thank you for your time. Thank you, speakers, all the participants, and see you again, hopefully. So goodbye.